everybody, it's Paige.
And Christian.
And we are Adventures of PCC. And today we're going to dive into our most recent trip to Blue Bay Grand Esmeralda.
In sunny Cancun, Mexico. Actually, Playa del Carmen. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking over 7 topics to cover. We're going to be talking about location, accommodations, service and amenities, dining, the unique features of Blue Bay Grand Esmeralda, the good, the bad, the ugly, and our overall final rating.
Awesome, sounds good. So when you first arrive into Cancun, actually, before you even go to Cancun, when you first decide that you're gonna go and you book your trip and everything is good and you get your emails, take a screenshot of your confirmation number for your transportation, even your trip if something were to happen. When you get there, you don't have Wi-Fi. You're SOL. They can help you get Wi-Fi from their phone, but it's a big scene, and if it just screenshot it, it'll make your life a whole lot easier. You arrive, you're gonna receive your bags from baggage claim, you go through customs, and then you're gonna head outside, but be aware of the agents who are gonna try and track you down.
Then they're gonna try to sell you something. So the best thing to do.
Well, is it sell you something or just take your time?
Just take your time, but then they also want to book you to go probably see a timeshare or to go on an excursion.
What it is. And if you want a timeshare, then go see them. If that's something you want to invest in, then go for it.
These people are tremendously helpful.
Very nice.
If you're kind of confused and have no idea where to go, they're going to be on you like white on rice. What we do, because we've been to Cancun now 7-8 times, we just make a beeline for the exit, get right through the gauntlet of agents, and then into the sea of other agents trying to help you find your transportation to the resort. And then this is a completely different group of people. They are actually employed by the different travel companies.
And they'll each have their own specific color uniform on.
Absolutely. And so they will kind of help you navigate to which bus you need to take in order to get to your destination.
Yes, correct. And then we did actually do one of the presentations one year.
We did.
We got in exchange for our time, we got a ticket to Shell Hollow, which is an amazing park.
We'll talk about it soon.
We'll do another video for that. But it's just the presentation itself wasn't at our resort that we were staying at. So we personally had to go find transportation there, spent
how many hours?
3 hours at that resort, and then had to get our own transportation back to our resort. So it was an entire day of our vacation. So it just depends if that's what you want. If you want a free ticket somewhere and you're fine wasting one of your days, cool, do it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Like he said, find your agent, and then they'll get you on the correct bus or van that will lead you to your final destination.
Perfect. Number 1, location. So Blue Bay Grand Esmeralda is located approximately 29.7 miles south of Cancun along the Riviera Maya, just north of Playa del Carmen. According to the website, it's approximately 445 acres, 8 buildings, and 979 guest rooms. There are 3 swimming pools with a children's area, 5 choices of rooms. You've got 5 choices. Deluxe garden view, deluxe partial ocean view, deluxe ocean view, deluxe whirlpool, and deluxe swim up suite. Pretty fancy. It all depends on what you want to do and how much money you want to spend.
What type of traveler you are.
For us, we are very happy to do the deluxe garden view because we really don't spend very much time in our room. The only time that we really spent in our room was to sleep and to get ready for dinner. And then the odd having to switch out swimsuits or...
We have a 3-year-old and 8-year-old, so there were the occasional, we need to go take a nap or we need to change, things like that.
But we were not really in the rooms whatsoever.
No.
And the each of the buildings and each of the rooms have their own AC, ensuite bathroom, mini fridge and bar, which was stocked daily. So it provided soda, water, beer. And then each of the rooms came with its own coffee machine, Wi-Fi for your room. You are wanting to have a Wi-Fi passcode for each of your devices.
Each
so
device, yeah.
if your children have a tablet that works off of Wi-Fi, their tablets each have to have their own Wi-Fi password. Private balcony and terrace with each room, depending on where it's located. And the safety deposit box, which we highly recommend that you get used to using as well. You get room service every day, so sometimes if you leave your valuables out, it is what it is. Sometimes they can grow legs and walk away, and you don't want to have that happen. Wheelchair access and elevators and ramps in all of the buildings. So if you have difficulty traveling or are traveling with people who are not as ambulatory, then it's a great place to go because you'll have access to your rooms no matter what.
And then let's jump on over to services and amenities. They do have 24-hour reception, AC in the buffets and the 3 restaurants.
Yes.
Concierge at the lobby, which is where you will make your dinner reservations 24 hours in advance.
24 hours in advance to talk to the concierge. 5 of the restaurants will require you to make a reservation about 24 hours or a day before. What my trick was, and this is a tip, is that I went in the morning after we went to the gym and made reservations for the next night. So these 5 restaurants, with our party, we had 6 people in our party. It was not the easiest in order to get reservations because depending on how busy the resort's gonna be, it's important that you try to make your reservations early.
Yep. They do have a fitness gym that opens at 7. Get there early if you can. We like to go in the morning, so it was just a busier time, and we kind of accepted that for what it was and tried to get there early.
My thing was to take pictures of the sunrise, and sunrise at that time of the year was at between 7:15, 7:16, or 7:17 in the morning. I would take pictures of the sunrise or video record the sunrise. Then by the time I got to the gym, it was pretty packed some days, and so it was a little bit like a can of sardines.
They do have a spa and massage facility, but it is an extra charge.
That's located at the gym, just right across
right
the hallway.
Yep. You just talked about the Wi-Fi. I just wanted to add that even if you yourself are traveling with 2 devices, say you have a cell phone or a computer or tablet for your own personal use, each one will have to have a separate passcode. It's not 1 per person, it's 1 per device. They have a children's club for ages 2 to 12, and they would you can leave your kids there. I'm assuming it's an extra charge. If you left them there throughout the day, people did do that. But they did bring them out into like the beach area, the pool area, and they allowed other kids who weren't part of the kids club that weren't paying to participate in the activities. So there was a sandcastle building competition. They did little, what's the word? Jet skis. They weren't really.
There's a video that we'll be
like
playing
jet skis.
Of the jet skis. The kids were basically riding these jet skis in the pool.
Yeah.
Very safe, very slow.
They would just all take turns.
But Lola, my mom, said that the kids enjoyed it. They really had a lot of fun playing with the other kids and then doing the activities. They're at the club. It's actually a separate building, and not sure what time it's open from until.
I'm not sure.
Our kids only did that one day, but they kind of jumped in whenever they saw the group of kids that were
doing
out
activities.
They would jump in whenever they were not in the pool or at the beach.
Yeah, but they did like painting and Lego building and something else.
Sandcastle making. Oh, you just said.
Yeah, something within the building, the kids' building. They have like a little slide, with little tubes. So they had a good time. It was a good time for them. They have a black and white nightclub where they have pool tables and a bar. It's also a snack bar. Nightly entertainment, which we didn't at all
We were
participate
exhausted. So the nightly entertainment started sometimes around 7, 8, 9 o'clock, depending
on what it was.
day
The
and what-
the beach entertainment. If it was beach entertainment, I feel like it was usually later because they needed it to be dark.
Yeah.
So they did like fire throwing, eating.
Lola and Lola, they would get out several times during our vacation. They enjoyed it. There was a magic show one night that I saw about 10 minutes of, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so that's also something that you are able to stay up for and are not exhausted with these freaking kids. Absolutely. Also, what came in handy is that each of our suites had a umbrella. The time of year that we went here just recently in December, it was a little bit rainy. So the first couple of days were cloudy and it rained on us a few times, which wasn't really that bad. But if you're going out to dinner and if you've these restaurants,
done your hair and stuff, and you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, and some of these restaurants also require that you wear pants and sleeved shirts. So, and if you don't want to walk into the restaurant soaking in your pants, it's also helpful to have an umbrella. Souvenir shops. There are several souvenir shops at the resort.
Yeah.
So if you want to spend money, then you have that opportunity to do so. There's tennis courts, and then there's a golf course located very close to the resort. 24-hour healthcare facility, just in case of any emergencies. Childcare is provided at extra charge. Laundry service is provided also at extra charge, and so is room service. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about your dining options.
There were 3 buffet restaurants. You're gonna have to help me with the last. Festival. There was a snack bar and Jelha.
So these 3 buffet restaurants were open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, except for Jelha, which is the buffet closest to the beach. And at night for dinner, Jelha transformed into 2 restaurants, steakhouse and seafood restaurant.
5 restaurants that require booking are the steakhouse, seafood, Mexican, French, and Italian. Do we want to talk about our experiences with this?
So we'll talk to you about our experience with each of these restaurants and break it down for you.
Yeah.
The steakhouse, which sounds promising, was kind of a letdown, and the reason for me, I'm a huge steak fan and I love steaks.
Yeah, and you would think the steakhouse would have the best steak.
And it really was a downer. The steak wasn't well prepared, and it really didn't taste all that great. It wasn't awful, but I was unpleasantly surprised at the quality.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea. We only, just with that being said,
just one night.
We only spent one night at the steakhouse.
That's okay. Seafood was excellent. I think we ate there how many times?
We ate at the steakhouse 3 times. We love, for me, I love their salmon. They had one of the best salmon dishes I've ever had. And for me to say that, I'm from the Pacific Northwest in Vancouver, British Columbia, where salmon is phenomenal. I'm not taking anything away from Vancouver, but the salmon at this restaurant was phenomenal. Really highly recommend it.
They also had a really good appetizer bar.
Ceviche. They had phenomenal ceviche.
It was very good,
I almost couldn't fit in the salmon because I had so much ceviche, and ceviche was delicious.
And then the Mexican restaurant. I was really excited about the Mexican restaurant.
It's kind of a
It was a little bit of a downer. It took us, it was a 2-hour experience with children. And I think it just came down, you didn't like your dish.
Yeah, I ordered the beef flautas, and there was more flautas than beef.
Yeah, I had like a shrimp skewer. I thought it was delicious. I think my issue was just the service of the restaurant, and it was only this restaurant.
It was like the server was stuck in molasses.
Very slow. Every other, I think it took us like 20 minutes just to get like them to acknowledge we were sitting there. But every other restaurant had phenomenal service. It was just this one particular, maybe he had a bad night. I don't know. Maybe he was sad. I don't know. And then the French restaurant.
So we had met some guests talking about the French restaurant, and they said that the French restaurant was the best restaurant that they'd been to out of the restaurants that were available. And the challenge with the French restaurant is that it's the smallest restaurant and it seats the least amount of people, but also it's not open every day. So we were able to finally get a reservation on the last day. We were only able to go there once, but thankfully only once. Only once, because it was kind of a letdown too. It wasn't awful. It was just the food wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be, but the experience was great. We were very happy with our service, and the server, he was wonderful with us.
It was probably the worst for me.
Yeah, it was.
I just didn't enjoy the food. Maybe I just don't like French food. But if you like French food, then it might be good.
Yeah.
I guess I don't.
And this is the only restaurant too where the appetizers, they brought the appetizers to you. The other restaurants, you would just walk up to around the bar and then serve yourself as much as you want. And then the last restaurant was the Italian restaurant.
My favorite.
Which was Paige's favorites, and the food was great. We really enjoyed the experience.
Delicious.
The restaurant, beautiful ambiance. We'll have video of that restaurant. The bar for the hors d'oeuvres was wonderful. The cheeses were great. The service was great.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed our time.
I think we went there twice or 3 times.
I think 3 times.
Either 2 or 3 times. It was very, very good.
It was,
and it was our kids' favorite too, because they had good pizza, they like, noodles, and they had a great time with that. They loved it.
So the unique features of the resort, there's a little bit of a hidden gem located north of the beach. So you walk out onto the beach and head north. It was about a 15-20 minute walk, but that walk was great.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Very beautiful, right on the beach. You pass by other lagoons and a couple other resorts. There was kind of like this one, almost looked like a Airbnb, but it wasn't.
I don't know what that was, but it was really cool looking.
And then at the end of that beach is another resort called Hacienda Tres Rios. And right there is where there's a beautiful lagoon and kind of a peninsula that juts out into the sea. And it was great. So there's, we'll include pictures of that so that you can see what we were talking about. The
walkway too, it's all very, very beautiful.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about this resort is that there's a walkway between one end of the resort to the other end of the resort. So one of the things that we'll be mentioning here in a minute when we talk about tips is that the resort is kind of divided into 2. There's buildings 1 through 5 are actually closest to the beach, and then buildings 6 through 8 are closest to the lobby. But we'll kind of explain that here in a second. But between these 2 areas, there's a long walkway. That walkway I really enjoyed because after going out to eat lunch or to eat dinner, it was just a great walk, waddle back to the room, because of course I would stuff myself with yummy cake and like the desserts. One of the things that we forgot to mention was how good the desserts were, the selection of the desserts. We really carb loaded during our trip.
It was vacation.
It was vacation.
It was very good. They did have lots of wildlife,
which I enjoyed thoroughly. But Paige didn't, because sometimes the coati or the Mexican raccoons, got into the resort or into the restaurant.
Yeah.
We'll have video of that
Yeah.
as well. And Paige's reaction.
Yeah. I don't know if it was, I think it was breakfast, but one of them, it wasn't our table, but the Kawati jumped on the table, on the entire table. And I'm not.
No, that's not a health code violation whatsoever.
Good with that. I'm not good with that. So, yeah, I think, just the unknown of that, don't appreciate. But it is what it is. They're going to be there.
Number 6, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good parts of the resort.
Yeah. Great value.
Excellent value. For when we were booking this resort, it tended to be on the less expensive end of the spectrum. And so booking 6 people with flights and hotel, we were able, because it was less expensive at that time of the year, we booked a few extra days because it ended up being less expensive to actually stay there 10 days instead of staying there for 7 days, which we really enjoyed because unfortunately the travel days tend to not really count as vacation.
They're not vacation days.
So it gets kind of stressful. So that was really something that we really enjoyed.
Yeah, we liked
it was actually less expensive for us to book through Saturday with the flights as opposed to leaving on Thursday or Friday. It would have been more expensive to stay there less days.
Yep, great food and great drinks.
One of the things that we didn't really do as much was we didn't really drink during this trip, and it's one of the things that I don't think that we really do all that much when we do go on vacation to the resorts. We love drinks. We love the margaritas and the pina coladas.
Which
the
they had
mojitos.
Fabulous drinks. If you want to get a drink, do, because they were great.
It's really all sugar. So
I mean, yeah, any mixed drink is gonna be that anyway.
The alcohol content is really not that high anyway. But also too, when we're on vacation with kids, we want to be present with kids, and they're wanting to be active and they're wanting to play, and we want to be playing with them or throw them off a cliff sometimes.
No.
And then the beach was really beautiful. We had previously visited this resort 6 years ago.
6 years ago, and the beach at that time was just
there was
rock.
A lot of rock, very unusable, and it was difficult to kind of navigate through the rock without getting your feet hurt.
Right. So that's what we thought we were going into. So we were pleasantly surprised when they had done a lot of work to make it a usable beach.
Their beach was really great. The sand was great, getting into the water and into the beach. Our son thoroughly enjoyed being at the beach, playing in the water, going out really far, and and it's really not that deep.
No,
he probably went out a good 50, 60 feet.
He went pretty far.
He went pretty far, and he was
but,
only like 4 feet tall, and he got
but
up
it was
only
just
up
like
to
waist deep the whole time.
waist deep.
So it was a good time.
So yeah, we were very pleasantly surprised at how beautiful the beach was. The pools were great, really large sized pools. There's this one other pool closest to the lobby. We'll talk about that in a second. But the other 2 pools are really large, and we're able to accommodate a lot of people.
Yeah, one of the pools that we spent the most time in had like an island in the middle of the pool, which was really fantastic. Our daughter and our son like to jump in, swim, and then stay on that island a little bit because it's just like ankle deep. So it's a great place to like sit and play with the water or jump in, whatever. And then around the pools, we didn't really use them that much, but I like that they're there in case I want it. The chairs that are like within the water, so like built-in chairs.
Yeah, they're pools like right kind of in the water themselves, but we'll show you pictures of that here coming up. What we also enjoyed were the rooms were actually really clean. We're very pleasantly surprised with that.
They also had really great entertainment throughout
throughout the resort, there's a great entertainment crew, and what they did was they had a whole bunch of aerobics happening in and out of the water. They also had games, trivia, they had bingo, they had
like drinking games
Drinking
for people
games.
of age.
One of the days we actually had a bubble party that we're going to be including in the video.
This was so intense.
It was so much fun.
I didn't
Muy
think,
divertido.
I mean, yes, see, I did not expect it to be that much fun, but I've never been in a pool bubble party either. So hopefully they do that one day.
A bubble bath, but for adults.
But on steroids, it was insane.
Probably some babies were probably made that day.
Okay.
But anyway.
On to the bad.
What we weren't really all that happy with. Believe it or not, the selection of food at the buffet, I felt for the size or the number of guests that were there, I felt like it was a little bit on the less side. I wish they had a little bit more offerings in terms of food. And this is one of the things too, that you're dealing with all these other people from different parts of the world. And so manners, it's really kind of hit and miss. And so some people will be in a line, other people will not care if you're in a line or not.
That's not really the resort's fault though.
Absolutely not the resort's fault.
It is what it's just there.
It's just expect it, and just know that especially during prime eating time,
yeah, you're gonna deal with a lot of that.
It's gonna be a little bit of a headache. So just prepare yourself. You're in, you know what though, but you're in paradise, and you're in Mexico. It's wonderful. You're on vacation.
Yeah.
Have a vacation.
No, it'll be fine.
We felt also too that there weren't enough lounge chairs or pool chairs for the amount of guests that were there. So one of the tips that we tell people is that you want to wake up early, get your pool towels, and go save yourself seats where you want to be sitting close to. So for us, it was really by the beach, somewhere on the beach or somewhere close to the pools, because our kids love being in both areas, and that's kind of what we wanted to do. But if you want to be off by yourself or you want to be walking around, there's a lot of other things that you can be doing other than just laying on the beach or laying by the pool.
The room walls were extremely thin. Very, very thin. You could hear everything.
The first night that we were there, I think the family that was in the room next to us, that was their last day there.
I don't know.
Man,
they had
we
a party
did not get to sleep until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because their kids were wound up on something.
They were wound up as well. It was not just the children.
Yeah, and it was just so
everyone
we
involved.
could hear everything.
It was a rough night.
So if you're one of these people that are a light sleeper, it might be a good idea to bring along earplugs, or one of our tips is bringing a sound machine.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Also, part of the bad is that the ocean water is actually pretty brown.
Pretty brown, yeah.
And I think that's part of the seaweed. What they did do a good job of was collecting the seaweed. There really wasn't as bad. We've been to other resorts too where the seaweed would be just really problematic, very difficult to navigate, and then once on the beach it would start to rot and it wouldn't smell very good. But the staff over at Blue Bay Grand Esmeralda did a phenomenal job. We felt like that really wasn't a big deal. It was just mainly the seaweed that was in the water that gave it that brown color. The pools are not heated. It's heated by the sun.
So when you go in December.
So when you go in December and you notice that there are a bunch of people sitting around the pool and only 2 or 3 people in the pool, it's more than likely that the pool isn't very warm. But our kids did not care. They jumped in regardless, and which meant that so did I. And it was a blast. We still had a lot of fun. Also, the wildlife, and with Paige, the coati not necessarily a thing. There's iguanas walking around here and there.
Not many.
Yeah.
Mainly coati. Just, they're gonna be there.
And then I think for us, the least fun instance was when we were checking out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Lolo and Lola aren't necessarily the fastest anymore. My parents don't walk all that fast. And for us, our flight was leaving Cancun at about 9:30 in the morning, which meant that we had to get transportation leaving the resort by 5:50 a.m. And we had requested them to get a golf cart for us so that we can, because the walk is fairly far from the beach to the lobby is about 15, almost 20
with your
minutes.
bags.
With your bags,
so it's just a long.
It's a lot.
It's a harder walk.
Lot more difficult
Yeah.
to get there. And so we had requested them to pick us up in a golf cart, which never happened. So we had to
waited
rush.
till the last second and be like,
No.
this isn't gonna happen. So we
Yeah.
had to book it with all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Which I mean was a little disappointing, but
yeah, but it still.
But we made it.
Yeah, we still made it. We still got back to Nashville.
yeah. And then the ugly
Would be
timeshare.
the timeshare presentation. So the first thing that they greet you with in the lobby is they have these fancy drinks and they're wonderful.
They're all sweet.
They're all sweet. The staff is great.
Very
and
nice.
what they want to do is they want to prep you for the presentation that they have, which I understand completely, that they want to
their job.
Get you on board to watch their 90-minute presentation,
Not 90 minutes.
which we had gone through one of these 6 years ago, and it was like
Never again.
3.5, 4 hours.
And they would not let us leave.
They would not. It was just.
was not an
It was a
option.
nightmare. But if timeshares are your thing, this is a great resort for you to purchase a
into?
timeshare
Yeah.
and to look into, because we really thoroughly enjoyed it, and we would certainly go back. It's just, is it really worth going through? So, anyways, we
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that that was our experience.
Yeah.
And so finally, our final rating on Blue Bay Grand Esmeralda,
I give it a 9.
I give it an 8.25.
That's still really good.
Yeah, it's really good. I was very pleasantly surprised. It was, I think, part of the reason why it was much more enjoyable this time around
Yeah.
is because from our previous experience, we really weren't expecting too much.
No.
And they really, not only did they really turn it around, but also the location at which our room was, that made the biggest difference in all the world.
I was just gonna say, you know what did it was the location where we were at. I personally enjoy a smaller resort, especially with having other family involved and having our kids there. They want to spend time, our kids want to spend time, his parents usually come with us. My mom sometimes comes, but our kids want to spend time with them as well. And when you have a really big resort and they're spending time with the grandparents, and then we're trying to find them, it's just harder with the big resort. I don't enjoy it. It gives me anxiety. I'd rather be in a small location where I could see every single location and see where you are. And our location was perfect for that, because you walk down our building and what you see is pool, beach, eat. So I could keep track. We didn't lose each other. We didn't have to wait an hour to go find somebody or track anybody down. It was just a more enjoyable time for me. Was the location of what made it for me.
So some of the tips and tricks that we've had from now looking at the resort. Just to let you know, buildings 6 through 8 are the furthest from the beach, but it's more private. They have their own pool area, and they have their own buffet area called the Snack Bar Restaurant. They're closest to the lobby and the concierge, the gym and the nightclub and the entertainment theater. So if those items are more important to your vacation, then I would highly suggest trying to book a room in building 6, 7, or 8. Then also, these buildings are closest to the Mexican restaurant, the Italian restaurant, and the French restaurants as well, and the festival buffet, which is the largest buffet.
Right.
Buildings 1 through 5, we stayed at building 5. They're the closest to the beach, and they're closest to the 2 main pools and the Gel Ha buffet, which at night turns into the steakhouse and the seafood restaurant. So that there's a walkway between these 2 areas, and that walkway for you to walk takes about 15 to 20 minutes. So just keep that in mind, depending on what's the most important for you and where you want to be.
Right.
For us, with our kids wanting to be at the beach and play in the pool, it was a complete, it was amazing to be where we were at.
Right.
Book return transportation on day 2. So when you arrive to the resort, the concierge will let you know that you're needing to book your return trip if this was one of the... So with the website that we booked the trip on, we also booked the round trip transportation from the airport to the resort and then back to the airport. So on day 2, we had to meet a travel agent at the backside of the Black and White bar where it's located, and had to book our transportation back. Also booking dinner reservations a day in advance. So in the morning, preferably, is when I would do it.
Right.
To book for our group. But also too, we are traveling with a total of 6 people. I don't think it would be that difficult if you're traveling with just a significant other or by yourself.
Right.
Get used to using your safety deposit box. Like we said, it's just one of those safety features where keeping your passports, keeping cash. One of the things that we do recommend too is not to take a big wad of cash around with you, but we certainly do recommend that you get enough dollar bills because you want to definitely be generous to the staff, especially if you want to make your stay there pleasant and keep them happy.
Yep.
Absolutely. So one of the rules that we had was that we would always tip and we would try to be as generous as possible because these people work really hard and they're phenomenal. They're so wonderful and they treated us really well.
Get up early to save your beach/pool chair.
Wherever you want to sit, unless you're one of these people that it's not really that big of a deal. But for us, because of the number of guests that were there this time of the year, it was pretty difficult to find any places to sit down close to the pool or the beach by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I would say even earlier than that.
Waterproof case for your phone, just because there's a lot of water around. If you're one of those people that like to jump in the pool, it's also great for shooting video underneath the pool, especially for watching our daughter swim. That was amazing, was really happy. And then the case that I have also had a separate compartment for other things like the card for our room key, and then also cash.
Right, I can link it below as well.
The walls are thin, so sound machine at night really saved us. And then also too, if you're lucky enough to not have a neighbor next to you, this resort was so quiet, it was so difficult for us to get to sleep.
Yeah.
So we had to steal Lolo and Lola's sound machine at night, or the kids' sound machine at night.
They weren't using it. We didn't steal it. They weren't using it.
Technically we own it still. So.
It's still, but anyway. Or if you have like a small portable fan, that would be amazing.
The white noise, I was trying to use the radio for white noise, but it didn't work. It didn't work really well.
Sound machine.
Day before checkout, request a golf cart and call the front desk in the morning. So if you're flying out early in the morning, you want to call front desk ASAP once you get up and say, hey, this is the time that we need to get picked up at in order to make the bus or the van from the resort back to Cancun Airport. So that's highly recommended. Definitely keep on top of that so that you get to your flight on time. They leave extra early just to be on the safe side, which I really appreciate, because you never know what happens with traffic or once you get to the airport and how many people you have to kind of step over and push and shove and try to get back in, depending on the time of the year.
That wraps it up for us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Muchas gracias, amigos.
If you would love to support us, go ahead and like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Hasta luego.